Good morning. Here we are. It is another Saturday. It's another beautiful day, and we are here in Redding, California today. Lovely Redding, California, visiting Christopher, Mallory, Nicholas, Diana, Uncle Chris. We got a lot of family here. Carol is here. We got a good group here live in the house. I'm in one of the back rooms right now just to kind of not interrupt everybody else having some breakfast, but I'm having my coffee and I hope you are too. Good morning, Shalane. Good morning, Scott. Good morning, Carissa. And let's see who else. Jay Zetterval's on here. All right, we're getting people. Um, I hope everybody's doing well this morning. And nice hat. Yeah, if you could see the actually, I'll let you see the shirt, a little bit of the shirt. But the shirt says CBWS Coffee Breaks with Steve. And let's see which shoulder. There we are. Emblem has my name on the back. Can't turn around completely because I'm going to pull my computer off the table if I do that. But yeah, in fact, I sort of pull things apart. Sorry about that. Sorry about that setup. I'll get back here in a minute. Got to get things set back the way they were supposed to be because, get a little carried away here. But yes, so it's I'm kind of celebrating. It's the sports look is sort of celebrating the fact that the Olympics are underway, and I know this isn't really an Olympics shirt, but it's just sort of a sporty shirt, and I thought it would be good. And gosh, see my lights, everything's just misbehaving at the moment. That happens sometimes. I'm not worried about it. Hope you are all doing well this morning as I kind of get things reset here. Had everything set up and then I start messing around with it. You know how that goes. And who else is on here? Who haven't I said hi to yet? Let's see, we'll see in a minute. It is July 24th, 2021. The Olympics started yesterday. How many of you watched opening ceremonies of the Olympics yesterday? Let me know if you did and what you thought about that. If you've watched any of the competitions so far, what you're enjoying about the Olympics, what you are distressed about, concerned about. I know there's some people still thinking that there might have been a lack of wisdom in even going forward with the Olympics because of COVID and other things. And there obviously have been some athletes affected by that, others at the Olympic venues, but they're underway. And watched some of the opening ceremony. In fact, I woke up well ahead of my alarm clock yesterday morning and got up and actually watched opening ceremonies live from Tokyo, which meant I was watching it like 4:30 in the morning local time, which is a little bit ridiculous, but hey, what are you going to do? So, yeah, so let me know what you think of it so far if you're watching. Hi, Rick. Kathy Glavin, good morning. Thank you. Thanks for highlighting that. So I made sure I did not miss saying hello to Kathy Glavin because that is a problem if I don't say hello to her. If you are on here and I have not acknowledged you yet, I will do my very best. Make sure you say hi in the chat. Make sure you participate in the conversation. What are some of our special days this week? I didn't have any birthdays or wedding anniversaries or anything like that coming up this week to put in. If you have a special day coming up this week, let us know in the chat so I make sure that that we acknowledge that because I didn't have any. I did have some interesting special days and holidays coming up this week. Today is Cousin's Day. Don't know if that's a national holiday, an international holiday, or just a day that somebody stuck on the calendar. But today is Cousin's Day, and do have some cousins, official cousins and unofficial cousins who watch Coffee Breaks with Steve. So, hey, cuz, hey to all my cousins, or if you're watching later on, hello to you, cousins. And by the way, that's a reminder, do participate in the chat. There's a cousin. Brenda's on here. Happy Cousin's Day, Brenda. If you are on right now, make sure that you are engaging in the conversation. If you tune in later on and watch this recorded, or as I call it, syndicated reruns, you can also comment in the chat at that time and participate in the conversation. So hi, Corey Ann, by the way. I don't think I said hi to you yet. What else is going on? Okay, so we've got all these different relatives days going on. Tomorrow is Parents' Day, which is the fourth Sunday in July. I'm not really sure. We've got Mother's Day, we've got Father's Day. I'm not sure what Parents' Day is separate, other than it's an opportunity to just acknowledge both your parents, or maybe the pseudo parents. How many of you had, when you were growing up, or maybe even still have, those people who were the friends of the family? Maybe they were a friend's mom or dad, and they were the pseudo parents. I know lots of times with our kids, particularly with the moms, when they were involved in high school theater and choir, they had the parents that they called mom. There were people who called us mom and dad, who were our pseudo kids. Yeah, I guess you'd say. I hate to use the word pseudo kids. It makes it sound so institutional. They were our sort of semi-adopted kids, right? They'd hang out at our house, and anyway, tomorrow is Parents' Day. Yes, the drama mamas Carissa mentioned. We had drama mamas also through church. There were a lot of the parents at church who were sort of pseudo parents. By the way, if you notice that my cup is fading, that's because it's a heat-sensitive cup. So the more I drink, you'll be able to tell how much I'm drinking today, because the more the coffee goes down, the more it's going to shift back to just the black. Yeah, redheaded stepchild, right, Shalane? Let's see. Oh, and moving along with the idea of Cousins' Day and Parents' Day, day after tomorrow, the 26th, is Aunt and Uncle. By the way, Parents' Day is the fourth Sunday in July. It's not always on the 25th. It happens this year. We got Cousins' Day today, Parents' Day tomorrow. Then Monday is Aunt and Uncle Day. So there you go. Then this one I thought was an interesting combination. July 27th is Take Your Houseplants for a Walk Day. And I want to know how many of you actually do that. I know people who like to put their houseplants like in a wagon, and they'll take them outdoors to get some fresh air, get some sunshine, etc., so they're not cooped up in the house. But it's not only Take Your Houseplants for a Walk Day. The 27th is also Take Your Pants for a Walk Day. So I guess the idea here is, if you're going to take your houseplants out for a walk, make sure you're wearing pants. I always think of, when I say take your pants for a walk day, I think of the Dr. Seuss story about what was I scared of, about the pale green pants with nobody inside them. Let's see, who else has joined the if you have joined the conversation, I have not said hello to you yet. Keep making comments. I'm trying to watch the comments and talk at the same time. I can only do so much. I only have so much bandwidth. 28th is National Milk Chocolate Day. Hello. Yeah. Now, I need to know, are you a milk chocolate fan? Are you a dark chocolate fan? Are you a semi-sweet chocolate fan? And I want to know the opinions on whether white chocolate is chocolate. We call it white chocolate. I don't think it really has any cacao in it. It's made from almond bark. So you have to tell me if you think that white chocolate is truly chocolate. But anyway, 28th is National Milk Chocolate Day. This one says national. National typically is supposed to mean that there's been some type of a congressional proclamation or a presidential proclamation or something that makes it a national day. Yeah, howdy milk chocolate, all chocolate. Kathy Glovin says all chocolate. Carissa says dark chocolate. Yeah, I'm kind of in the all chocolate category. Then we also have more food coming up this week. The 29th is both National Chicken Wing Day. How many of you are chicken wing fans? And if so, do you just where do you get your chicken wings? And some people like the really spicy chicken wings. Some like the more neutral or milder, but National Chicken Wing Day on the 29th. So if you've got a favorite chicken wing restaurant, they may be doing a special deal. However, 29th is also National Lasagna Day. So, if you, like me and Garfield, like your lasagna, 29th, this coming week, what is that? Thursday? That might be the day to do the lasagna. Maybe you do the chicken wings for lunch and the lasagna for dinner that day. I don't know. However, we've got some more stuff going on. On the 30th, which is Friday, is National Cheesecake Day. So that's when you can have the cheesecake for dessert after you've had chicken wings and lasagna, I guess. And because we're not finished with relatives this week, Friday is also Father-in-Law Day. So I just want my kids' spouses to be aware of that, Father-in-Law Day, because I expect to hear from you on Friday and gifts are always appreciated. And then Friday is also, this one is for my son Christopher, and anybody else out there who's involved in different areas of IT administration. Friday is the last Friday in July is System Administrator Appreciation Day. So if you work in any kind of a setting where there is a person or persons on staff or under contract who supports your computer network and make sure that things aren't crashing, or when they do crash, gets everything back online, this next Friday is apparently the day to appreciate them. Okay. um Kathy Cloughan says my father-in-law is kind of a jerk. That one's funny for a variety of reasons, but I get it. um so let's see, just checking comments here to see if there's anything that I've missed that I need to go back and talk about. Hey, I see Nick Garlic is on here. Good to see you. And Jared is on here. Wow. Hey, we're getting the Garlic family on here this weekend. It's good to see you guys. All right. Listen, we're going to switch to talking about an interesting topic today. And it's one that it's come up for a couple of reasons recently. But I wanted to talk about not what we eat, but how we eat, if you will, right? It's like some people they get the food in front of them. It's like, I got to get through this meal as quickly as I can. I got other things to do. And they just scarf down their food. Sometimes without even really, you get it half chewed and it's just gone. Other people like to savor each bite, and yet others are so slow at eating that it's like everybody else is like, okay, the restaurant now wants to use this table. Can we go? Do you want a box for that? I tend to be in the semi slower. I'm a slower eater. I always have been. I've never been a really, really fast eater. When I was younger, I was a slowpoke. I remember at times when I was fairly young that my mom I'd be the last one at the table. And it's like, can you just eat? Now, my dad has talked about the fact that he was kind of that way when he was a kid too. I've noticed and I don't remember with my kids, they're on here, so they can talk about this themselves and talk about what they remember about, the growing up, and were they slow, or that I know we used to refer to Shalane as Turtle because she did a number of things slow. I don't remember specifically with eating, Shalane. I don't remember if you were a slowpoke eating. And oh, hi, Kathy McCormick. I just saw your name pop up here. And I don't know if I said hi to Kathy Garlic yet either. Jerry Thompson. Okay, I'm sorry. Had to interrupt myself because I saw some names, people I hadn't said hello to yet. And once again, if I have not acknowledged you yet, go ahead and make comments here. Enjoy the conversation. Eating speed, chewing your food effectively. With the grandkids, it's an interesting diversity. Just with the grandsons. So, for instance, Nicholas, slow eater, always has been a slow eater. And there are a variety of reasons for that. But I mean, to where there have been times that it might take him a couple of hours to get all the way through a meal. Now, there are times that he'll eat faster, but generally speaking, he's a slow eater. Remy and Jameson, remember Remy and Jameson, brothers, about a year apart, not quite a year apart from each other. Remy is relatively slow. And he'll sometimes tend to also not finish every single thing on his plate if he's full. And Jameson is like a vacuum cleaner, right? Does the Hoover maneuver. It's just like you put the food in front of him, you blink and you look back and it's gone. And it's interesting because sometimes it's the situation you're raised in. Were your parents, or are your parents the ones who would be going, or are you as parents ones going, come on, hurry up. You're poking along, eat your food. It shouldn't take that long. And you're pushing the faster eating. Are you the type that says, slow down, take your time, get your face out of your plate and lift bites to your mouth? You don't have to be in there sucking it up like a vacuum cleaner, whatever it might be. But I think sometimes it's what environment you were raised in, right? The other interesting thing that goes with this, and I'm not going to read articles, but leaning over here, sorry, out of camera for a minute. But I looked at several articles on legitimate sites, like, different nutrition sites. And by the way, if any of you here have any background or experience in nutrition professionally or educationally, and you want to weigh in on this from a professional perspective, please do. I'm not an expert on this. I found it to be an interesting topic because we deal with it within family. We see it and we deal with it. And but there are also some health issues that go with this. If you read what the experts have to say, um, they talk about a connections between eating too fast or not chewing your food completely. There's like one study that says you approximately 32 chew your food bites about 32 times before you swallow in order to start the digestion process. That if you don't take your time to chew, it can actually cause digestive issues. There are other studies that talk about eating too fast being a contributor to weight gain and to other issues tied to diet, right? Like your body has a harder time processing and digesting food, and it can be tied to other issues around digestion and issues people have sometimes with, you know, with why can't I think of words? I must need coffee. Okay. And by the way, notice now it's fading out quite a bit. Is this cool us down? Intriguing. Um, People who tend to have a lot of issues that upset stomach and just get the stomach gets churny and gassy after you've had a meal, and they'd say sometimes that can be tied to or just complicated, exacerbated by the fact that people eat too fast and don't chew sufficiently. Another thing that has been tied to is weight gain. So why would it make a difference? And they talk about the fact that because of the way our system, including our brain, processes feeling full, if we eat more slowly, then we feel full more quickly in conjunction with how much we've eaten, and we tend not to eat as much. And if we eat too fast, then we're kind of getting ahead. We're outdriving our natural system's ability to say, okay, time to stop eating. And so that's where people eat too fast, get seconds, eat that quickly. And by the time your body's saying you're full, you've overeaten. And so there's a variety of things that they talk about, the health benefits of eating slowly. Now, I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm just curious about each of us. Um, did we find ourselves to be Bob Newhart show about how he chewed every bite 32 times? Okay, thank you, Brenda. These studies have been around and this information's been around forever. I do know growing up, there tended to be more of an emphasis on, hurry up and finish your meal. Even though I think back when I was a kid, there was also more emphasis on the family taking the time around meals, around the table together. Right? We didn't sit at TV trays. Sitting at a TV tray in front of the TV when I was a kid was kind of like a special thing. That didn't happen there had to be a specific reason why that would be happening. We sat around the table at meals together as a family, and that was also the time that you talked as a family. And so I think that tended in its own way to slow down the process a little bit. Um, but on the flip side of that, I can remember also being told not to be a slowpoke when I was eating. So I think when the conversation was over and everybody else was done, if I still had food on my plate, there was kind of this, all right, Stephen, finish your dinner. But I'm curious, what was it in your upbringing? What was it in your house? How did that affect your habits in terms of eating? I just find the whole thing kind of fascinating. I'm looking back now at some of the comments. Um, yeah, chewing food does help with digestion. It just makes sense, right? I mean, we're not talking about what you eat, but certainly there is a tie-in. We have become this culture and society of hurry up. Everything has to be immediate. Everything has to be quick, fast food all the time. That was another thing when I was growing up. It was also somewhat a rarity. It was the exception rather than the rule that we would get any food that came from even what would have been considered a fast food place. And there weren't that many. You had like McDonald's, we had Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I'm sure there were others, but I mean, those are the ones I typically remember that were popular when I was a kid in our area. But that wasn't all the time. And you certainly didn't do that as part of a family meal, usually. Usually. There were exceptions. Um, the only other time I can remember as a kid that there was any sort of time limit on meals. Now, in the morning on school days, yeah, you had to get through breakfast so that you could finish getting ready for school and get out the door. And eating lunch at school, there was a time period. You had a time slot at school for lunchtime, whether you brought your lunch, whether you went through the hot lunch line, there was a certain amount of time to eat and finish. And other than that, though, I don't recall that eating quickly or rushing through any meals was a typical part of the culture I grew up with. I'm curious whether any of my siblings, and I haven't been watching every single comment at the moment, but I'm curious whether my siblings uh, have any of their own impressions about what it was like at mealtime in our house growing up. And my own kids, I'm curious what you recall and what comes to mind about how we treated the process when you were growing up. It's kind of interesting. But I do tend to agree. I mean, I still tend to be a slower eater. Part of that is I'm also a constant talker. I know that surprises all of you, but I tend, even at mealtime, if there are other people around that I'm having the meal with, to want to also have a conversation. For me, that's still a time to socialize. It's still a time to connect. You break bread together, and that's a time that you can have sometimes more intimate conversations. Learn about people, you find out what's going on. There's something about sharing food with people that leads to a little more socialization. And I think that's part of it too, is I think that's part of the reason that there were benefits back in the day when we all used to sit around the table as a family. Dinner time was kind of to catch up on the day. Dad would be home from work, we'd all sit down together, and that was typically how was school. And we would talk about our day, and we would share what was going on, the good, the bad, the different and indifferent. And it was just a time to connect. And I still wonder if that's a good time for us to be doing that. And if we're missing opportunities when we eat alone, when we rush through our meals, even from a professional perspective. I remember several years ago, one of the organizations I worked for, there was a book, and there was a guy who would come in and present this workshop, and it was called "Let's Have Lunch Together" was the name of the book. And the gentleman, the organization I worked for, we all read the book. It was a pretty short book. And then the gentleman who had written it, who's an attorney by trade, named Marshall Howard, and we actually brought Marshall in, and he did a workshop around this. And the idea was he'd worked with a lot of nonprofits, and he took actual experiences that he had been involved in consulting with nonprofits, that he then turned into this fictional story within the book that changed names, changed situations, so it wouldn't point to people he'd actually worked with. And then at the end of each chapter, there was sort of some, what did you get, what do you learn from this chapter? And the concept was about an executive director at a nonprofit who would rush out and get his lunch and eat alone. And it was showing how he was missing opportunities with board members. He was missing opportunities with donors. And the idea was that it promoted that lunch was a good time in the business world to connect with people. Used to do business lunches, used to be a very common thing. That's when you connected with clients. That's when you connected with even colleagues and coworkers. And once again, we've kind of gotten into this mode where sometimes we don't even leave our desk at lunchtime if you're in a professional environment. So it is interesting to think about that. Father creates his own reality. I don't know what led up to that, Shalane. I'm curious about. I'm going to have to go back and look at some of the comments leading up to that. I just glanced down and it said, Father creates his own reality. I'm Father in this case, so that causes me to have some interest. All right, listen, I hope this has been a fun conversation for you. Please continue to put your comments out there. I just think it's fascinating to learn how we have all approached things like this, the idea of how we eat, what we eat, yeah, but also how we eat. And we'll probably come back and visit this in some fashion at some point. But I want to tell you what's coming up. And I want to encourage something here. I mentioned this last week. I'm going to encourage it again. And I got to stop for a second and address what Scott put up there. Boys' dinner, sitting on the table using the ironing board for the table. Yeah, so when I had my own place, when I was first out on my own, I didn't have TV trays, but I was a bachelor, right? And so didn't do a lot of cooking, mostly lived on TV dinners. And when like Scott, my younger brother, would come over and we'd hang out together, use the ironing board as a TV tray, long TV tray. We'd sit on the coffee table because I just had a little 12-inch black and white TV that sat on a shelf. So if you sat too far back, you couldn't see it very well. So we would sit on the coffee table with the ironing board in front of us with our food on the ironing board so that we could see the TV. Absolutely, Scott. Those boys' dinners together. Yeah, those were good times, weren't they? Okay, listen, let me tell you what we're working on for next week, and still got to do some logistics to pull this together, but we want to do Mad Lib Theater. It's going to be interactive. You're going to be involved in this as an audience. What we want to do is Shalane and I will be on the air. Actually, Christopher, moderator Cat, will be on the air as well because we need someone to moderate and facilitate this. So I'm going to have a couple of conspirators, co-conspirators next Saturday. And we're going to do, if you've played Mad Libs before, that's the part you're going to be interactive in. And Jimmy Fallon does this sometimes on his late night show on the Tonight Show with guests. But we're going to provide an opportunity for you to fill in blanks with words, just like a Mad Lib. But then as that is filled in, that becomes a dialogue, a script, a brief script that Shalane and I will then act out as Readers Theater. We're not going to see the script ahead of time. So it'll be spur of the moment. We will have to pick it up and improvise whatever the script is next week. And you get to be a part of writing that script through a Mad Lib process. So you'll want to tune in next week. Watch for more information about that over the course of the week. What's coming up in August remains to be seen in some cases. We're putting some things together, but I would really like you to suggest some topics. Suggest some things that you would like to have the conversation about. And come on in, Nicholas. Of course, you knew if we were in Reading this week. Okay, he's going to close the door and then he'll be right back. And I'm going to open the camera up a little bit more here so there's some room for Nicholas to come in. But anyway, I'm looking for suggestions and recommendations. Oh, let me get you up here. Oh, my goodness. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear your ideas about topics. Shalane, as one of our producers, has been.
Topic?
What is a good topic to talk about? What do you think we should talk about on Coffee Breaks with Steve?
Well, I could talk about that I did get a new rocket and garbage truck.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, let me ask you this. You've been doing something special this last week. Where have you been and what have you been doing this week?
Well, I've been at camp.
What kind of camp?
Theater camp.
Theater camp, which is where you learn how to do what? Acting? You doing a play? You doing a special program?
Yep.
And did you have 2 showcase shows last night to show what you learned? Are you watching yourself on the camera right now?
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
That's all right. No, I get it. I understand. But did you have 2 shows last night?
Yep.
How many do you have today?
3.
So get this. They have this theater camp for, and you know, a lot of little guys in this. 5 showcases to finish up the week-long camp. They had 2 last night. They have 3 late afternoon and evening tonight. And I'm going, ooh, it's going to be interesting to see how all of them, including this kid, is doing by 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock tonight. But that's good. So you've learned a lot. You've had a lot of fun this week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cool. Anything that you want to say to everybody?
Hi.
Hi is good. Hi is always a good thing to say. Do you remember what we always tell people at the end of Coffee Breaks with Steve? Or do you want me to help you with that?
Bye.
We do say bye. We always say, do you remember what else we say to them? We encourage them to do something this week. Do we always tell them, find a way to make a difference in your world this week? Is that something we usually say? Okay, we'll get there in a minute. We have another minute or so. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we finish Coffee Breaks today?
Wait, is anyone a winner?
Is anyone what?
A winner.
We're not doing the drawing this week, but we may do another one here pretty soon.
Wait, but is anyone the winner without the drawing?
No. It's kind of hard to have a winner if we don't draw a name. I mean, I think, this is my feeling, I think we're all winners. Do you think we're all winners?
Well, what's the prize?
Getting to, you know what the prize is? We all get to be together on Coffee Breaks and oh, your mom says you should sing a song. Are there any songs you want to sing?
Sure. Mom, I sing. It's Why don't I sing Camps Like a Disco?
Okay, go for it.
Can't expect summer camp to always stay the same. We come here, we find our groove, and the music starts to change. As we move to match the tune, it may feel a little strange, but the disco ball keeps spinning, no time to be tame. Camp like the disco. Doors can fly and cold quit, and the next day they're just fine.
What else?
You'll
remember it. Go ahead. It's all right to take a minute.
Oh. Hearts falling in our love and still have peace of mind. An evil queen can fit the bill and keep this camp alive. We rearranged the pieces and found a place for each to shine. Can't expect summer camp to always stay the same. We come here, we find our groove, and the music starts to change. As we move to match the tune, may feel a little strange, but the disco ball keeps spinning, no time to be tame. Camps like the disco, we found our groove. When the music changed, we changed our moves.
That was amazing. All right, do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Bye.
Thank you, Nicholas. That was fantastic. I really cannot top that. There's no way to top that. So I'm just going to say, as we always do, be back next week. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. And do find a way to make a difference in your world this week. Take care.